Well, you can never have too many retros, right? Hey everyone, so I just got this new 4-pack of retros from Mattel. I got it a bit later than a lot of people, unfortunately. Some issues with the mail, but finally got it. We're gonna go ahead and do the review. But you can see, it's gonna be Phantom of the Opera Taker. That's when King Mabel had shattered his orbital bone, so he had to wear the face mask. Paul Bearer, cannot wait for Paul Bearer. Vader, very cool. And, that one. I know who Jerry the King Lawler is, it just... You know, every time I think of Jerry the King Lawler, every time I see this little face of his, all I can think is, you guys want to meet my girlfriend? She's only 12! But yeah, it looks really cool. I like on the back, too, how they have the kind of like Sears catalog presentation of the figures. And the fact that like it's not in color is also very much in that style. So, I do like the fact that all four of these figures have good bodies. We don't have like a jumper or anything in this wave. So, I really do just want to go ahead and pop these guys open, see what we think. Alright, getting these guys out of the box, of course, they have the smaller box inside that's very similar to the Hasbro packaging. You can see they all got the pictures, they all have the bubble. You can see the real superstar action. On the back you have little cards to describe the character. So what does this say? A masked Undertaker returned to reclaim the source of his power, the urn. Now, a really cool thing about the retros nowadays, and this started with the NWO pack, which I thought this is amazing, is instead of the usual cardboard and bubble that you had to rip open, now, in kind of a environmentally conscious effort, I suppose, but also very great for collectors, you just slide the cardboard out, you can pull the figure, and then look, you can slide the cardboard back in, and it's pristine, and if you want, you can have these guys out, but then you can put them back in, and it's still going to look mint. Now, I think that's really great. I've seen a lot of people say like, oh, well that means that down the road people could be selling these and say like, oh, well they're brand new mint and they're not actually. Yeah, that is a problem. But you know, I think this is also a really great way to give the aesthetic of these boxes still without promoting just throwing them away, wasting them. As, you know, a person who's more kind of in favor of the Hasbro plastic-free packaging, I think that they're good ideas. I think this packaging is the best of both worlds. I really enjoy it, but I also understand if you're not a big fan. And as you can see, of course, the retros, they're supposed to be kind of inspired by the Hasbros. They don't really fit with the Hasbros, but at this point, there's so many retros, you can have a really good collection. This is the second retro Taker. The first one actually was purple gloves, purple boots, purple tie Taker. But this is the first time we've had him in the Phantom of the Opera mask. So real quick, let's just get the rest open, and then we'll actually go over the figures. So next guy we have is Paul Bearer. I'm curious what it says on the back. As Keeper of the Urn, Paul Bearer is also the guardian of Undertaker's power. Yeah, that's a pretty good description of like Golden Age Paul Bearer. I guess like also Ruthless Aggression Bearer, because after Undertaker went back to being the dead man and they brought Paul Bearer back, the urn was suddenly very important again. You know, wrestling's not known for having the tightest of continuities, but at the very least, they kind of try with Taker sometimes. Can he actually hold the urn? He can! That's great. Paul Bearer looking good. We'll get a closer look at all the figures once they're out. So, Vader, boo boo boo. Vader is the brutal combination of power, size, and athleticism. That's good. I've always liked Vader. He is a monster of a man. Oh, dude, he's big, too. I didn't think he's going to be so much bigger than Paul Bearer and Undertaker. Dupe. Ah, come on. I can get this back in. Jesus. All that praise I was just singing about, like, oh, this is such great packaging, and now it's wanting to fight with me. Okay, Jerry the King Lawler. The King challenged Bret Hart to prove who is the true King of the Ring, and also to prove that he can beat the statutory charges. I'm not a big fan of Jerry the King Lawler. Not his wrestling or his character work. I think he's great in that realm. It's just the Jerry part of him. Just looking at the figures, I think all four of them look spectacular. I do kind of wish Paul Bearer was just a touch shorter than Taker. This angle is a bad one. I can assure you that Paul Bearer isn't as tall as Taker, but you can see he's really close. So I kind of wish he was just a little bit shorter. But looking at the figures more closely, I really love Taker. He has like no pupils, which is great. He has, of course, the white mask, good paint. His gimmick is the slam. That's good. Very similar to old day Hulk Hogan figures. But yeah, a little bit of articulation in the waist, of course. I love the details on this. I think it beats out the original retro Taker for me, and I'm a sucker for the Phantom of the Opera mask. I might like this more than Retro Taker even. Going from Taker to Paul Bearer. Paul Bearer is using the same new body mold we've seen with Jimmy Hart and Mean Gene Okerlund. I'm just going to take this that this is forevermore going to be the manager or announcer body, and I don't mind that because I think it's a good body for that. I just think it's a bit too tall. But overall, the hand that used to hold a microphone and then a megaphone now holds the urn. Oh, Jesus, if I can get it in there. Oh, it's all gone to shit. Here, put it in your hand. There we go. Yeah, he doesn't hold the urn that great. That said, the head sculpt is really good. And you gotta think, right? This is long overdue. Paul Bearer, one of the greatest managers of all time. Someone who, like, I'm not trying to diss Taker, but without Paul Bearer, I don't think Taker ever becomes as big as he does. Because Paul Bearer was the heart and soul of this gimmick. He was the mouthpiece for it. I might just be biased. I always like my managers. Truth be told, when the pictures first came out, I honestly thought that Vader was going to be the weak link of this set. But now that I have him in hand, this is good, man. I really like Vader. He has a huge body. He's, like, so much larger than everyone else. He might be one of the tallest Hasbros now. He's probably taller than Andre, but not as tall as Giant Gonzalez. We'll do some comparisons here at the end. But yeah, massive, great head sculpt. I love how just that kind of angry, screaming face he has. I can't figure out how his gimmick works, though, so I'm going to look on the back. Okay, so it's similar to Akeem. Okay, yeah. So, okay, if there's one thing I can hit this figure with, it's, that's nothing. So not a great gimmick, but really good-looking figure. It's going to look amazing with the other retros. Jared the King Lawler is doing the Jake the Snake punching gimmick. So looking at the head sculpt, I think it looks fine. Like, it's not terrific, but it's definitely fine. This figure is definitely a lot more jacked than Jared the King Lawler ever was, but, you know, that's kind of the style of the Hasbros. And then, he's got the punch. That's fine. Like, I do think Jared the King Lawler is the weakest one here, and that's not just my Jared the King Lawler bias talking. I think, like, Taker looks phenomenal, Vader looks phenomenal, Paul Bearer is phenomenal. I think that you had three real powerhouses here that kind of aesthetically go together, right? Like, I know Taker and Vader never had, like, a huge feud, but Vader and Kane did. Vader kind of occupies a similar mind space of being, like, babyface monster. This guy, not so much. He's definitely kind of just here. I said we pull in some relevant comparisons. Here we have the new Retro Taker with the original Hasbro Taker. I still think this one has a lot of magic to it, right? But really, these are two different eras. This is Golden Age Hulkamania Taker. This is, like, New Generation Taker. I do kind of wish that there was a little bit more of the height from this Taker on this one. But overall, I think they definitely occupy different eras, different mind spaces. And I think they are about equally good to each other, because I do like the general proportions on this Taker more. And I, of course, like the look more. But this is definitely the more iconic look, you know? Might as well also show off Taker with Paul Bearer, and this is more the height I would want, where Taker is discernibly taller than Paul Bearer. Aesthetically, this still actually kind of works, because my problem with retro figures is usually their heads are way too realistic compared to the Hasbros. But I guess because Paul Bearer always had such cartoony expressions, he actually really blends in well. This might be, like, the first retro I've ever been like, holy crap, he actually just is a Hasbro, more or less. So, good on you, Paul Bearer. Finally, with Vader, I just want to know, how does he rank up against the other famous big men, big figs of the Hasbro line? So, first guy I'll put up is Yokozuna. He is discernibly taller than Yokozuna, but Yokozuna is, of course, way larger. He is the largest of the Hasbro figures. Now, let's look at the actual tallest, Giant Gonzalez. Giant Gonzalez is still a little bit taller than Vader. That's good. I would prefer that. And then, of course, Andre the Giant. Wow, okay. So, Andre is a little taller, but only a little bit. So, for anyone who doesn't know, for a long time, the rule was, yeah, Andre's taller. The rule line in the Hasbro line was no one could be taller than Andre. The only figure that was ever allowed to be taller than Andre was Giant Gonzalez. So, to me, and this is really dumb sounding, but to me it's actually really important that Giant Gonzalez always stay the tallest of the Hasbro figures, just because I like it. Overall, this was a phenomenal 4-pack. one of the best that the Mattel Retros have ever done. Truth be told, for the Mattel Creations 4-packs, so this one, the Hart family one, and then the WrestleMania 1 set, I think this is my favorite one. Because, right, the WrestleMania 1 set, only one I cared about was Roddy Piper, and Mean Gene. In the Hart family pack, I loved the 3 Hart Foundation members, but then Ivan Koloff Nikolai Volkov really dragged that down for me. But all 4 of these figures are so great on their own, and I think it's a testament to the fact that, like, they might be getting better at these 4-packs. The only 4-pack I have that I like more than these is the NWO pack, but that's just because those 4 definitely need to go together, you know? Overall, if you're able to afford these guys and are into the retro styling, I wholeheartedly recommend them.